It's such a timeless sound, isn't it? So beautiful. Mazzy Star there. A duo from California with a track released in the early 90s, Fade Into You. And when Mazzy Star began making music back in the late 80s, they were the opposite, absolute opposite of so much around them at the time. And listening to that, it just still sounds like nothing else today. And that's what makes it stand out. Extraordinary stuff. 30 years on, they're finally in Australia for the very first time ever. Please welcome to the ABC studios right around the country. We have Hope Sandoval and David Roback from Mazzy Star. Hello.
Hi.
Hello there.
Great to talk to you. It's been a long wait for us here in Australia. How are you finding it, your very first tour to Australia?
Well, I've never spoken to somebody named Myf before.
Oh, that's good. That's a first. We got a first.
Yeah, it's part of our Australian adventure.
It is. Have you seen any of the sights? You're pretty much in Sydney for the time. You're only doing exclusive gigs as part of the Vivid Festival, but have you had a chance to see anything outside of the Sydney Opera House?
Well, not yet. We've just arrived recently, and we've been hanging around the harbour and near the Opera House, and we'll probably start to explore later this week, because I know there's a lot of interesting things here.
Yeah, and such a perfect place to start. You're at the epicentre of Australian tourism, right there, doing a gig at the Opera House. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You two, we've been talking about music that calms you, music that's hypnotic and stuff that actually calms us outside of music. Is there anything for you two, given you make some of the most beautiful calming music on the planet, is there anything both of you enjoy doing that calms you down? Hope, have you got anything in the background there?
I can't really think of anything right now.
No?
Well, for all those people who are listening to your program who are driving in cars, I mean, sometimes we like to drive around and listen to music. And
Longer?
Well, I don't drive. I like to be driven around.
I'd find that very calming too, Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, ordering people around to drive me, that would be fabulous. You had one show last night at the Vivid Festival, as part of the Vivid Festival. How was that first show?
Well, I was pretty nervous. It was nice, but my legs were shaking, and yeah.
Hope, you've always been quite nervous about performing. It's something I've known about you from reading about the group on and off over the years. How do you cope with that if it's something that still makes you nervous to this day? I get nervous still doing radio some days, but I've been doing it for 20 years. I'm interested to know how you cope with that.
I don't know. I just do it. But it's pretty scary. Yeah, it's the strangest thing to get up there in front of, I don't know how many people were there last night, a couple thousand people, and yeah, it's crazy. But it's also fun, yeah. It's can be a good time too.
Yeah. And also this was your first gig for 5 years, you two. What's it like getting back together? Did you have a nice time performing? Have the rehearsals been fun, or is it a difficult thing to do to get back and play this music?
well, it's really very natural for us, because we hang out a lot together, and we always are writing and recording. So it feels very natural, I think.
Yeah. When you do get back in the room together, what's the first song of yours that you play? Is it that one, Fade Into You, that we just heard? Is that the easiest to step in, or do you have another fave?
I don't think that we really ever plan that. We just, it'd probably be different songs, and we just go with whatever we're in the mood for at the time.
Yeah. Were you aware when you started making your music back in the late 80s how incredibly opposite it was to everything else that was coming out at the time?
Well, there was, we were playing a lot of acoustic music at the time, and that wasn't really popular in the. I mean, it's never been unpopular, but it wasn't really in the, in the forefront of what was really trendy or popular. But that was never something that interested us. But we knew a lot of, and we've always admired people who played all types of music, from very electric to totally acoustic. So we just did what we wanted to do. We didn't really think about how we fit in.
Well, subsequently, you've amassed fans all over the world, and as I said in my introduction, the music is just timeless. It's ageless, and for that reason, it gets used in a lot of soundtracks for television. I think your music's turned up on episodes of The OC, on Charmed, or CSI. Can you tell me the strangest place you personally have heard your music being used on screen?
Oh well, it's been in very. We did a. I remember we went to a screening in London of a Bertolucci film, and that was kind of interesting. But a lot of times things kind of. It's a little bit strange, the whole thing, because we don't really write music with that in mind.
No.
We just, so, but it's cool. I mean.
It's a great thing to be able to hear your music wherever it is, but there's a real confidence in your sound. You know what works, and as I've always seemed to, regardless of what's going on around you. Is it the key for you just to make music that in a style that you love and sticking to that?
I don't think there's really any for us is any alternative other than to do what we want to do. Otherwise, we wouldn't bother doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fair point. You've got a new EP, though. You got back together and made a new EP. Not that you've ever stopped making music. The new EP is, it's a beautiful one, and I'd love to play a track from it. If you'd like to let us know the lyrical inspiration behind this one. It's called Quiet, the Winter Harbour, and this is on the brand new EP just released. Can you talk us through this one before I give it a spin?
I think we recorded that one in Norway. Yeah, I think we hadn't seen each other in a while.
Right. Yeah, I remember, we were playing some piano things, and it kind of came out of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we write on piano, and sometimes with guitars, and just different things. It really depends.
And what about lyrically?
I don't really know what to say about the lyrics. They just sort of speak for themselves, I guess.
Let's hear it now. Have a wonderful time in Australia. Get out and see the sights. Should be magnificent. Mazzy Star are playing as part of the Vivid Festival. Those dates run until the 13th of June at the Sydney Opera House. Here is the beautiful new song, Quiet, the Winter Harbour. Thanks so much, David and Hope, for joining us today.
Thank you.